Yeah. Uno, dos, tres, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que es caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Y esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Pega esto pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo mueva ese booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos noquea como lo haya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La de esta cara y eso que no sea Supreme. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca, baby. Presentando pa'
I spoke to Chris Sanchez on the phone. He was part of the security detail.
And it all turned out to be true.
What I find really interesting about this whole saga is we framed it as Harry and Meghan's war on the royal family, when actually it's Harry and Meghan's war on the press and the media.
That's
and
true.
as they say at the start of episode 1, they say so many books and shows and stories have been written about us. We wanted to have our own say. And remember, the purpose of the PR office at the royal family is to keep the royals in the press all the time. So you have to remember, when I work in newsrooms, it's a fact that every anti-Harry and Meghan story comes from Kensington Palace.
But why haven't...
And if it comes from Kensington Palace, why are they briefing against their own grandson?
Well, okay, that's a very... The idea
why are there never any
I think that's fascinating.
About Prince William?
Were William and Kate involved in briefing against them originally? I don't know. That's a good point. But having a war on the media, I don't know whether that's worth the candle. Lucy
and they will continue to deny it and deny it and deny it, but they are getting exposed very, very, very quickly. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday podcast. We are almost at the end of this month. Wow, this month has just sped past, hasn't it? Can you believe the clowning was what? 1, 2, 3, almost 3 weeks ago? Just wow. It really did feel like it took forever to get to that clowning, and now it's gone. And it's almost like it never happened. But yeah, a couple of news stories for you today, a couple of annoying things, but just what we usually deal with on these royal streets. but some good news as well. So let's get to it, shall we? Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And thank you to the mods as always. Right. Let's start with some good news. Thank you so much to everyone who continues to donate to the Kaboom fundraiser. We are now at $88,000, and we will very likely hit 100,000. I think we'll get to 100,000 easy. You know, as the squad grows and more people join, I think the fundraisers are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and more impressive. And also a shout out from Audible. They asked which narrator's voice would you be able to identify with a single spoken word, and then somebody responded with Prince Harry and Meghan the Duchess of Sussex, and Audible said couple goals and narrator goals. Indeed, I hope we do see Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan. I think she has a very, very soothing voice. Do more voiceover work. She did some stuff for Disney. I would definitely love her to see. Love to hear her. My tongue's all over the place. Love to hear her do some stuff for maybe like the Calm app or something like that. I think that would be cool. But well done, squaddies. And keep on sharing that fundraiser around and donating if you can. Now on to the drama. Philip Schofield. If Philip Schofield had kept Harry and Meghan out of his mouth, Philip Schofield wouldn't even be a regular feature on this channel. But since he wanted to be one of those people, here we are. Oh, how the mighty fall. So the saga with Philip Schofield continues. The show this morning is now losing millions in sponsors, and staff are now quitting, fearing their jobs will be axed, getting ahead, I guess. So it's left to be seen whether or not they actually scrap the whole thing or just get someone new. I guess it's really gonna come down to the viewership. Is the viewership staying? Or are they just gonna leave in light of the scandal? And I think if what's gonna happen is they'll probably just replace him and maybe just rebrand this morning. It needs a rebrand anyway. But to be honest, the whole daytime TV slate in the UK is an absolute toxic mess. This Morning, Good Morning Britain, Loose Women, all of them. Just an absolute toxic, hateful, divisive mess. Now, Schofield posted on his stories earlier. Now I no longer work at This Morning. I am free to say this. I hope you have noticed that it's the same handful of people with a grudge against me or the show who seem to have the loudest voice. This Morning is the best show to work on with the best people. In all the years I worked there was no toxicity. You can listen to those persistently loud voices if you like, but the thousands of guests over the years, thousands of staff and crew, hundreds of presenters and contributors, all no, it is family of wonderful, talented, kind-hearted people. Well, that might all be true. But what's also true is that you were having an affair with someone who was of an inappropriate age for you to be allegedly for the lawyers listening, for you to be engaging with, sir. And whether or not This Morning was a toxic workplace or wasn't a toxic workplace doesn't take away from what is being alleged about you and your affair with a then young boy. And obviously, all of the people attached to This Morning, scattering like cockroaches. You've got Eamonn Holmes, who was tweeting, Schofield has just put out a delusional statement like Holly. He puts it on Insta stories. So if it goes wrong, there is no record after 24 hours. I'm reluctant to give the liar any more publicity, but believe me, if you're looking for a fight, Philip, you have picked on the wrong person. He also tweeted, Schofield has finally been caught out, but he's not the only guilty party. 4 members of ITV's management knew what sort of man he was and never took action to prevent him controlling or taking advantage of his position over young people. So Eamonn obviously trying to distance himself from the whole thing. I don't believe that Eamonn Holmes didn't know. And there's other people like Dr. Raj Sai saying that he was managed out of his role after raising questions about the toxic workplace culture at the daytime staple. And it's alleged that also Lorraine, sorry, not Lorraine, is her name Lorraine? Eamonn's wife, I forget her name, that she at one point actually raised the alarms about Philip Schofield. So I don't know what Eamonn Holmes is talking about, trying to save his own back, his back that got broke by the spell of karma after he said, throw Harry off a balcony. But it's just a mess. And it's just, they're all pointing fingers at each other. Cockroaches are scattering. And they're all trying to, clear themselves of the stench of Schofield. Mind you, I believe that Holly's husband has an executive position at ITV. So, she obviously wants to distance herself, save herself, doesn't want to make it look like she was in the know at all. But really, I think that everybody needs to be held like this. This shouldn't turn into one of those things where, everyone piles on Holly, everyone piles on Eamonn Holmes, everyone piles on Lorraine. Like, no, they should all be held accountable. The people in front of the camera, the people behind the camera, all of them need to be held accountable for this. Also, this came up. So there's a gentleman called Simon Schofield. He's not related to Philip Schofield. They just happen to have the same last name. But he's the chief executive of Cisco Entertainment and also the Two-Faced Theatre, where this young boy, or a then young boy, was studying at the Theatre Academy. And you see a picture that is slightly disturbing and gives me the creeps. With a young boy there. And Philip Schofield and Simon Schofield have actually known each other since they were very young. They met like when they were young teens, basically. So I'm wondering what he knew, because Simon stepped away from the theatre company where Philip met that young boy about 3 months before Philip came out on national TV. So I'm wondering if Simon knew, and I think he did, and whether or not he was even involved, because this was his theatre company. So the plot thickens with this one, and unfortunately, this is just a culture in entertainment where you have people who are very abusive, who put themselves in powerful positions to target people who they know are desperate to make it, desperate to get into the entertainment industry. And you just have a bunch of abusers running the place, creating a cycle of abuse and taking advantage of people. And of course, we know it's not just Philip Schofield all this morning. We know it's not just a handful of bad apples. There's still an investigation with Tim Westwood. This is another BBC DJ. And I remember being a young girl, probably like 14 or 15. And I remember people used to whisper about Tim Westwood. I'm so sure if I got back in contact with people who I went to school with as a teen, they probably got stories. Like, everybody knew. So if it was able to reach my ears over in Chingford, Essex, then there's definitely people at the BBC and in high positions that knew about people like Tim Westwood and what he was doing. And Omid also tweeted this today, that there was a British reporter who had a big Me Too scoop and her editor basically shut it down, saying 7 women say that a star columnist at a national newspaper groped them or made unwanted advances. But as New York Times reports, Britain's news media has a complicated relationship with outing its own. and one can only guess who that might be. Star columnist. Definitely a couple of people who come to mind. Boy, I don't know. I don't know when we're ever gonna come to a time when these people just stop being protected. Because it's like every now and again you get one or two that get outed. You know, trying to think. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein, um, R. Kelly. There'll be the handful that get done. But overall, um it's very difficult to hold these people accountable. And it just seems like there's no real system in place to make sure that victims are heard in the way that they should be heard and where they can get the confidence to come forward. Right. On to the next thing. Charles. Charles, being the eco-conscious Kang that he is apparently turning down Buckingham Palace pool. I didn't actually know that Buckingham Palace had a pool. I did know that it has almost 300 rooms. So what, may I ask, is turning down the thermostat on the pool gonna do? Oh my god, he's so brave. Mind you, Charles doesn't even live at Buckingham Palace. I don't think anyone does. Yeah. What? Where do I even begin with this? We are spending, is it 390 million pounds worth of taxpayer money to renovate Buckingham Palace. Now, don't get me wrong, Buckingham Palace is a huge place. And when you're renovating a historic building, you've got to be careful. I'm sure they're using the best craftsmen and all the rest of it. I still don't believe that it would cost up to 390 million. There's definitely some money laundering, something going on there. And to think that we're spending that amount of money on a building that could actually be open and making money itself, like most other palaces in other parts of Europe. And then they have the audacity to post an article like this, that he's turning down the pool thermostat to save energy. A source told The Times that a few people using the pool have noticed that the temperature of the water has dropped. Who are these people using the pool in Buckingham Palace? Can somebody please tell me where the pool in Buckingham Palace is? Is it outside? Is it inside? They've been told the king has had the heating turned down. Who in Buckingham Palace is using the pool? Isn't it basically a staff office now? The king's decision to lower the temperature... I've got so many questions. The king's decision to lower the temperature comes as part of a drive to decrease the energy at the palace. You know what you could do to decrease the energy at the palace? Shut down the palace? Or just open it up to the public, and so it pays for itself. There are so many things that you could do with Buckingham Palace. You could have tea rooms. You could have a place where people could go get married. You could have tours. Let everybody come take their Instagram pictures. He is reportedly keen to have a net zero emission at the royal household by 2050. 2050. That's how long we've got to wait for us to have zero emissions at Buckingham Palace. To your comments before we continue. Thank you so much to Alan Vernon. You said Buckingham Palace, you believe, has 770 rooms? Damn. Yeah, then please tell me what turning down the thermostat at the pool is going to do. Yes, YM Droid. Who amongst us doesn't have a palace with a pool? The tone deafness of these people. Denise, you said I stopped watching Good Morning Britain, and this morning, Lorraine, all those rat presenters, the day they all started on Harry and Meghan, they are spin doctors of lies, and now they're being shown for all the corruption. Exactly. That exactly. Yeah, Mariam, I wonder how many people even use that poll. Mariam, are staff allowed to use it on their time off? I guess so. Phyllis, you're from Chelmsford. No, Chingford. Hyams Park, Chingford. Phyllis, you should know, Duchess, it's all lies and more lies. When read that temperature turned out this morning is yawn. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they think that that is like even anything special. 2050, you'll be dead by then. Maybe Elon's Neuralink thingy will still be working and will all still be alive, and I will still be here on this podcast talking about the royals, if they're even around. I lived in Walthamstow. Yes, I actually lived in Walthamstow when our family first moved to the UK. So I know the Walthamstow area and the Waltham Forest area very well. Nice to know we're from similar ends. Okay. Next thing. You all. Will he still be alive? Oh gosh. Okay, next thing. Y'all, I'ma say it once and once only. Harry and Meghan ain't divorcing. Harry and Meghan are not divorcing. Those of us who have been on these royal streets for long enough know that whenever the tabloids go hard on a story like this, it means the exact opposite is happening. Meghan made Kate cry. Kate made Meghan cry. We know how this works by now. So, anybody want to guess the real royal couple that is divorcing here? I mean, just look at these pictures. Now, when you look at this, do you see a man that wants to stay with his wife? Or when you look at this, do you see a man that wants to stay with his wife? Which one? Which man out of these two sets of pictures wants to stay with his wife? You know what's so interesting about all of these stories that are coming out about Harry and Meghan and them divorcing is not a single one of these articles can produce a picture where Harry and Meghan look unhappy. But the few pictures here that I have on the screen of William and Kate, these are just a handful. You will know that I have a treasure trove of receipts. Here's another set. Completely different sets of pictures. Listen, I don't wish badly on anyone. Quite frankly, these people are going to have the drama, bring the drama, and my life is still going to go on. But the reason I bring this up is because Meghan was fed to the wolves in order to hide these people's scandals. And that's the only real reason it matters to me. They used Meghan as a shield to hide their own adultery, alleged adultery for the lawyers listening, to hide their own marital woes. I mean, just looking at these pictures makes me feel just so like I can feel my throat and my belly chakra just clenching. I can't imagine what it was like for Meghan to be around people like this with this type of energy. Like, Meghan is a strong woman, because if it's me and you bring that toxic energy to my life, I'll cut you out immediately. I can't stand it. I can't stand to be around people like this, people who are snotty, people who think they're above others, people who you drink a a glass of water the wrong way, they're looking at you funny. People who don't talk about my hormones. You're not close enough to talk about my hormones. People who cry over tights, people with a temper who are incandescent with rage. It is an absolute miracle that Meghan survived. More so Harry, having been born into it. It's an absolute miracle that Harry is the level-headed, kind, empathetic, dedicated husband and father that he is. It's a miracle. When your influence from the time you are a young person is this type of environment. And no wonder Harry and Meghan said, no, absolutely not. Not for our children and not for us. We're getting out of here. Because who would want to be around this? Like, it hurts my soul to even look at the faces of these people. And to think that people look at this and think that it's some kind of fairy tale. This is not a fairy tale. This is an absolute nightmare. And yes, I do believe. Thank you so much, Black Queen. You said, how is Shocky going to get rid of Emission when he have a neighing horse in the stables? Yeah. Gotta get rid of the horses. Sell some of the horses off. Thank you for the super sticker, Black Queen. Oh gosh, sorry, I lost my trail of thought there. But yeah, that people can think that this is a fairy tale. Right, let's read some of your comments. Yeah, they're all projecting their feelings and their relationships on Harry and Meghan. They don't have what they wish they wanted for themselves. Yeah, they don't. They really don't. But yeah, I think what I was saying before I lost my trail of thought was this is the reason why all of these stories are coming up, because I 100% believe now that a divorce is coming. The way in which the Middleton family are suddenly being thrown to the wolves is very strange. All of this time, it's been very hush hush. All of their dealings, and all of a sudden, everything about their business is everywhere. Their failing business. You've got Kate being punished for wearing a pink dress at a flower show. There is clearly a war between the Windsors and the Middletons. Denise, I cannot wait for Meghan to write her book. Pray I'm here to see it and to read it. Yeah. Do you know what? Whatever Meghan wants to do, whatever she feels right for her. But from my perspective, I think the best time for Meghan to release a book would be after William and Kate's divorce and after basically a whole bunch of stuff or more stuff about the royals gets exposed. I think we're going to see Kate and William get divorced. I think we're going to see a lot of scandals about royal money, because that's another thing that seems to be hanging over these people's heads, is how much money do they actually have? How much money do the royals actually have? Where are they getting their money? There's a lot of shady people that they're involved with that give them money. And with the Middletons, it's becoming more and more obvious that they perhaps weren't as rich as they put forward. I don't believe that the Middletons were ever really that wealthy. I think that they had enough money to live in a relatively decent area, send their kids to a good school, get them into the Aristo set, and you don't actually have to make a lot of money to play rich. like if we just assume, like as a bare minimum, maybe Carol Middleton was making 50k a year and the husband was making 50k a year, that's more than enough to play rich. You don't have to actually be rich to be in rich circles. And it would maybe explain why it was William that had to buy them a home. And so I think that they're hanging on. But if I was the Middletons, you know what? Just give up. Like I keep saying, just take the divorce settlement money and get out. Don't start a war with these people. Because I think that will be even worse than anything we ever saw with Charles and Diana. I feel sorry for the kids only, you know? Carol Middleton wanted her daughter to marry into the right circles, and she's basically just cursed her daughter. You could have just married her off to some rich aristo if that's what you wanted, and been happy, but oh no, you had to marry her into the Windsors. Having said that, obviously, nobody else wanted to marry William. None of his other girlfriends wanted to marry him. And, these are girls that grew up in the aristo circle. They knew better. Marjorie said, not wishing divorce on anyone, but the Derangers must stop focusing and trying to break up the Sussexes and pay attention to the Welleses. They seem to be the one destined to go to the divorce court. Well, a lot of Derangers only joined the royal fandom to hate on Harry and Meghan. They never actually joined because they like the Welleses. What could you really even talk about other than Kate's clothes and a bunch of projects that are scattered everywhere and have no sense of continuity? Okay. Next thing. Oh yeah, and also on the Middletons, before I go into the next thing, it's not just party pieces that took out a COVID loan. So yesterday I talked about this story that just came out, and that party pieces took out a COVID loan. Now granted, events companies like party pieces were very much entitled to these loans, so taking the loan wasn't illegal, but the amount they took and the fact that this is meant to be or at least they make it look like a multi-million dollar company, that they took out such a large amount, it was over 220,000, I think it was. That raises a lot of questions, and one has to wonder, was that money spent the way it should have been spent? How was it spent? And there's also a lot of questions surrounding the insolvency of the company itself. But I found this today, that Pippa Middleton's husband, who's a billionaire, or so he claims, and his brother Spencer, who was a star of Made in Chelsea, which is a reality TV show here in the UK, they both claimed taxpayers' money to furlough staff. So Pippa Middleton's, this was back in 2021. So Pippa Middleton's billionaire husband, James Matthews, and his Made in Chelsea star brother, Spencer, have both been claiming taxpayers' money to furlough staff, Mail Online has learned. Hedge fund boss James, 45, is believed to have been using the government handouts to pay the 6 employees of his Scottish shooting range estate. Hedge fund boss James, 45, is believed to have been using the government handouts to pay the 6 employees pictured in the promotional material above. I mean, just absolutely gross. Just funneling money to their rich mates. And this also shows you, I mean, put a 1 in the comments if you knew about this Pippa Middleton's husband's taking COVID money before I just read out this article just now. Put a 1 in the comment if you knew about this. Because this just shows you, I didn't know about this until today. It just shows you how the media can bury stories. Because this was printed in the Daily Mail, but I never knew. It wasn't really posted or blasted anywhere, like loudly. So it shows that they can print stories, but bury them and distract you with other things. And so you can't really say that they never reported on it, but they reported on it very, very quietly. Yes, Wendy, the mighty rich with their entitlement and vulgar behavior. Indeed. Indeed. Okay, I think that is okay, it's one other story, and then I think we're done. Right, the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation, this joke of a foundation, I think it's just money laundering, to be honest, for right wingers. But they were trying to get Harry's records, and they essentially have been denied. So let me just get the story up to read it. Hit that thumbs up button, please. 1,400 of you in the chat. Amazing. So since March, the Heritage Foundation, an American right-wing think tank, has been openly trying to deport Harry. The Heritage Foundation is where a lot of British right-wingers work also. There is a direct line these days between the American and British neo-fascist ideologies, and British right-wingers clearly believe that they're influential in American politics and culture. That's why Heritage Foundation people are working on this special project on behalf of the British newspapers. Heritage is suing the Biden administration to get their hands on Prince Harry's visa application. Prince Harry wrote about doing drugs, and Heritage Foundation is trying to claim that Harry's drug use affects his visa. It does not. And as such, immigration has shrugged off Heritage's freedom of information request, and now they're shrugging off Heritage's dumb lawsuit. The Joe Biden administration has been accused of stonewalling a legal bid to uncover details of Prince Harry USA visa application. And the Heritage Foundation have described the decision to stop them from getting information as outrageous. And they have asked a judge to overturn the decision by the Department of Homeland Security. This is what these people are doing with all of their donor money. Not trying to feed anyone's kids, not trying to put food on clothes on anyone's back. They're focused on Prince Harry. What does that even have to do with traditional values, which is what they say they're about? How does this help anyone? They're literally weaponizing a think tank to focus on Prince Harry? Like, do these people know how ridiculous they look? Honestly, I hope Homeland Security just saw that application and laughed and just kept it moving. Ridiculous. Right. And taking COVID money, you could go to prison for that. Yeah, there were a lot of people who were taking what was it in America? Was it called PPP loans? But yeah, obviously on both sides of the Atlantic, there were programs to help businesses, but you were only meant to take it if you were really going through a struggle. And a lot of companies actually ate into their own profits and decided not to take any government money. And I think that's great of them that they did that. I think Gymshark was one of the companies that did that, because that money should have been going really to small businesses. But the problem is the government didn't really put strict, rules on who could and couldn't take the money. It was just kind of a free for all. I mean, I know someone won't out their name. I would say in my extended circle, who they registered a business maybe something like 10 years ago. This business hasn't really been operating at all. And they claimed like £10,000. Now, really, they shouldn't have taken that money, but there's been no one to check. And the whole system is just a mess. And so it's really been a free for all. And I can imagine for the most rich who had businesses, they must have milked it. Like it can't just be, the Middletons and their set. It'll be a lot of people who just used that time to just money grab. Miss P talks. Who could be behind this? Oh, I mean, I think we know it's the usual culprits, right? Oh, hey, Lauren. Oh my God, Lauren, I haven't responded to your email. I will do this week. Very sorry. When people are jealous and cannot match, they stalk. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, traditional values. They should take a look at Charles. What value does he and his wife, mistress, have? Yeah. It's crazy that they even put the royals on a pedestal as being, some kind of symbol of traditional values. Tradition where? Prince Andrew? A tradition of noncing? Is that what they mean by tradition? And that when they came out with the story that Harry and Meghan were broke, in my opinion, the Heritage Foundation was given a donation by the UK media. Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. All right. I think I'm going to end things there. Thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't on the way out. We haven't heard from our faves since New York because it's all. Do you know what? Sometimes so many things are happening at the same time that it's just information overload. But we haven't heard from our faves since the New York chase. I'm assuming, investigations are being done, evidence is being taken, maybe even CCTV footage is being taken. Harry, of course, had his own footage. And I don't know what would be the next move for them following that. Do they come out and give their side of the story? Do they just kind of carry on and not talk about it and, I don't know, take it out in the courts? Do they do an interview? Like what? I don't know what would be the next step. But so far, I think Harry and Meghan have proven that they know how to play their cards right. They're playing chess, not checkers. And the fact that they left it so that the main culprits, who I believe were the British tabloids, would release those pictures and those articles that were deleted, shows that they are definitely playing their cards right. So I do think that I don't know what the next steps are going to be, but I do believe that the British tabloids are going to get theirs for the part that they played in that chase through New York, because they were definitely involved. Oh, Joan Hickey, I reckon Harry did something for Memorial Day. Yeah, he usually does. Last year, didn't he go to Pearl Harbor? Miss P talks. I wonder if there'll be any polo tournaments this year. So they actually released the schedule, but there's just no word as to whether or not Harry will show up. Rahini, you said, since the Sussexes have been quiet, we know what that means when they do surface is going to be the bomb. And I can't wait for them to shine. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Roseanne, Harry filming his own footage got them crapping themselves. That's why the tabloids shut up. Yeah, and the tabloids have been very quiet about it as well. I think what the tabloids wanted to do, because they knew that they were the main culprits, I think they bombarded the whole news cycle to basically call Harry and Meghan liars, because the lie, as Meghan said herself, and we know, travels further than the truth. So what they've done is they've bombarded the news cycle with lies, so everybody has it in their head now that Harry and Meghan were lying and that there wasn't a car chase and that they over-exaggerated everything. And that's just the annoying thing about what they do. Because even if it does come out, and it will, sorry, let me rephrase that. When it does come out that they were responsible for this and that there were people that were almost harmed, it may not actually reach as many people as the lie. And while all this is going on, of course, somebody's grandmother is now dead because of a royal motorcade. That has gone completely silent. Oh. Anyway, thank you as always, everyone. Yeah, I will leave it there. Go have fun at Barron's, and like I always say, we'll make it to the other side. There is light at the other side of the tunnel, and all will be well. See you tomorrow. Ciao.
Lunes, ya. 1, 2, 3, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que es caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Y esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Bien pegadito pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Yeah, yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo me va a hacer booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos noquea como Loya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La de esta cara y eso que no sea Supreme. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Con su flow gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, reggaetón, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota,